Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to June. This month's focus is about the creative and ethical use of technology. So, when we talk about being ethical in the digital space, it's not just about plagiarism, although that is a big piece. It's also about being able to create original work.
Absolutely. So, whether you're writing a story, you're coding your own robot or a physical computing item, editing a video, animating a short, we want to be able to be creators and create our own original work and take some pride in it as well.
Absolutely. Now, when we are creating on digital devices, there is a little something called Google image search that is, a mainstay in a lot of things that we create, whether it's a digital flyer or a brochure or a video. But that is something that when we begin to look closely at it, there are some rules about which images we can use.
Absolutely. And so we want to make sure that we're looking for that Creative Commons license. And it's not defaulted there. It is defaulted to show you all the pictures. That includes the ones that are actually have copyright over them.
Absolutely.
And so you can access in a Google search under tools where the arrow is pointing. You can click those three dots or ellipses, whatever you would like to call them, and select Creative Commons licenses. You will also maybe get an additional one too that might just have like licenses, or what is it called? There's another term for it.
It is, I don't know.
Licensing. It's just called licensing. Image licensing.
Image licensing.
So make sure that you select, as that image shows, the Creative Commons license. That is going to be the one that is the royalty free. So you can access that. But there's also some websites too that you can use. They're 13 plus, but you're all old enough here. And so, sites like Pixabay or Unsplash, they provide royalty free images that are really high quality images to support presentations and whatever else you might be creating.
Now, the reason for this kind of focus on making sure that we're either citing our sources or we're finding these ways to create original work is because at the end of the day, taking someone else's ideas, putting them out as your own is something that is, number one, as an adult against the law, and number two is academic dishonesty, right? It's a-okay, and it's actually encouraged to go and do that research, to go find those people that know more than you and be able to pull those deep thoughts that they've thought and bring them into your work. But the most important thing that we can do is make sure that we identify who those people are.
Right, and so that's by giving them credit, right? And so if we just copy and paste text or an image without actually citing that, so even if you're in that Google search that we were just talking about, and you do take an image that has copyright attached to it, if you cite it or give reference to it that it is from whoever the owner is, then you actually are okay using that image as long as you are citing who you get that from. So I guess you have that statement, give credit where it's due.
Just as you would want credit if you have made something that continues, it is back and forth. And so when we talk about those licensing, those Creative Commons, the kind of general term is what is fair use. And so if we define fair use, it is the ability to use copyrighted work without permission, but only in certain ways and in specific situations. And so when we look specifically in education and student work and in teacher presentations, we do have the ability of using these copyrighted images in ways that are isolated and kind of focused. And we're going to unpack these right now. There are 4 factors of fair use. The first factor is the amount of the original work that you actually are using. The second is the purpose of the new work. So what are you doing with this original work? Are you trying to make money off of it? Are you trying to discredit someone or promote some sort of ignorance or hate online? The other piece is the effect of the new work. That kind of those two tie together, right? So what is the effect of your work that you are putting out? And then the nature of the original work. So when we look at is what I'm doing part of that fair use, am I within the fair use guide? You're most likely in the fair use if the effect of the new work does not include any negative impact on the creator or the value of the original work. So are you going to compete with the original creator in the same market? Are you just copycatting their product in order to put it to make money off of it? Or are you using it, as I said, in a way that has no real effect on the original creator.
And realistically, I just want to add, all the images you should see in these presentations are actually used from a site called Flat Icon, where they're royalty-free images that we can use. And so even in all of our videos, we have ensured that we have made sure that they are copyright legal, I guess, so that we're not promoting that plagiarism. We are promoting and modeling best practice and appropriate use.
Absolutely. So you also fall within the fair use guidelines if the purpose of the new work is in that educational space, or if you've taken that original work and you've totally changed it into something that, you know, maybe wasn't in the inspiration of yours, but yours is really its own separate item or thought.
And can I just say that the ones that have, like, there is actually on, like, I know a lot of educational things that, you know, Joel and I would use. There's something called CC on them. Like, there's a little box with an image that shows that it's common creative licensing, so that we can actually, because really that person was brilliant. They came up with a brilliant idea, and I just want to make a couple tweaks to maybe fit like our school division and your learner needs. And so we can do that, but they've given that Creative Commons license for it, right? So we're using it for the same purpose, but because they've given that creative license, we're okay. If they have not given that and we use it for the same purpose, it's really not okay.
Yeah. And you know, as we know, like as a kid, the rules that apply to you, like you're learning about these laws. But as you move into, you know, once you are older, like once you turn 18, those expectations become a little bit more, and those consequences become a little bit more severe.
So when you go to university, right, any post-secondary schooling, they are really hard lined on plagiarism and academic honesty.
Absolutely.
And dishonesty.
So you're also in the fair use space if the nature of the original work is nonfiction, right? So for example, if I create books around Harry Potter, but it's not that Harry Potter, it's a totally different Harry Potter, right? It's very hard for me to be like, oh no, this falls within the fair use. But if I'm writing a book on lightning, or if I'm presenting on, you know, natural phenomena, then it is more likely that I'm falling within these fair use guidelines. And the last one is that if the amount of work used is only a small portion. When we talk about the usual, like the ratio for plagiarism, it's like 10%, right? There is a certain volume of work that you have to meet in order to be starting to fall into that plagiarism space. But the reality is that if you're using a smaller portion,
like the pea on the plate,
right? The last bite, then it's much more likely that you're going to fall within those fair use guidelines. So those 4 pieces, when they're all kind of in balance and they're all acknowledged, or you're within that green space of all of them, you're most likely in a good space for using that without necessarily infringing on those copyrights. So we got a little example here. We've got Maya. She's making a flyer for her pet sitting business to post on her social media account, and she finds a cool pet store logo and just pops it in as part of that flyer. Does this fall within those 4 kind of guidelines of the amount, the effect, the purpose, and the... We'll let you fill in that blank.
What was the 4th one, Joel?
Great question.
The nature of the original work.
Is it nonfiction? Yes.
And so, you know, there are places where you can get beautiful templates like this that are not from copying somebody else's created logo. And they probably likely got this image initially from somewhere like Canva or, you know, Adobe Express, or there are like Slides Mania, Slides Go,
Slides Carnival,
right?
So
that
many.
have free downloads for you that you can use. And so that's something I love about Canva, which we are all kind of getting, that does have the ability to make these posters, and it gives you a base, but now you can customize it, right? And so we also have lots of Google Drawings and things that are like that as well. But if I was to just go to a store and kind of like grab their flyer, put a box over it, or a picture of their flyer, put a box over it and change the words,
Yeah.
not okay.
So in your class, why don't you pause the video and have a little conversation about how you feel Maya's copy paste might fall under the fair use guidelines. Welcome back. I know you had a great conversation. So to kind of wrap up the June year, I can't believe it's been 10 months, it's been a great year. We have some resources for to kind of like start to unpack this Creative Commons. For grade 9, looking at that idea of artificial intelligence. As these AI tools begin to sort of lower their age of requirement, and we're starting to really bring maybe a little bit more focus into student use and teacher use, how does that play in? So Common Sense did a great job of just beginning to pull back those layers a little bit, begin to introduce some topics, and really start to kind of spur that conversation around how does that affect and what is, and just sort of get into that world.
Because that is our real world right
100%.
now. Absolutely.
100%. And so grade eights, we're going to dig deeper into those 4 factors of fair use: the purpose, the format, the oh my gosh, we got it.
The nature.
The
of
nature
the original.
and the effect of the thank you on the author. And then in grade 7, really beginning to look at that copyright, those fair use, just beginning to unpack the bigger ideas around that. So lots of interesting things, really important things coming up. And we will see you in another video.
Back in September.